Hey everybody, it's Sunny here. Sorry, doggy's trying to get up. He wants to say hello. You guys didn't see him last time. So here he is, my Beauregard. He says hi. I know you can't hear him, but that's what he's saying. Oh, you're not going up there. Okay, so let me just get the dog hair off my shirt and then get this up on my computer here while we wait for my technology incompetence to show, as it always does. Tonight is Tuesday, so it's Tuesday Talks with Sunny. We're going to be talking about sugar and is it an addicting substance? Okay, so again, for those of you who don't know me, if this is your first time tuning in with me, I almost fell over just like I do almost every live I do. I am Sunny Brigham. I am a clinical and integrative nutritionist, and I am board certified in the state of Texas to practice nutrition, and so that's what I do. And I spread the wealth of knowledge with all of you fine young individuals every Tuesday night. Let me straighten the camera for you. It's gonna get a little close here. Oh, there we go. I don't know what's happening here. That's pretty interesting, huh? Let's just snap that back here. Alrighty. Now that we've got the hair kind of tame, I'm not really sure what's going on with it today. It's a little windy, so I'm going to blame it on that, even though I haven't been outside in a while, but I'm still blaming it on that anyway. Okay, so tonight is all about sugar addiction. At the end, I will answer any questions that you have, so as I talk through it, feel free to post your questions, comments, concerns, and at the end of my spilling of all of the wonderful information to you, I will go back onto my computer and I will pull up all the questions, comments, concerns that you have, and I will go over them. So if I'm saying something that sparked a question, please go ahead and type it out then, and then I will get to it. So, like I said, sugar. I think I've said it like 8 times already. The blog came out yesterday. Every Monday, the topic of the week, the blog comes out Monday at 10 a.m. Central Time, so you can always go to my website. It's CompleteHealthSB.com. / whatever you want to call it, slash, we'll just put a slash in there, blog, and you can see my latest blog up there. And so, it came out yesterday and it's called, Am I Addicted to Sugar? This is not coffee, by the way. Tonight we have St. John's wort tea. It's pretty interesting. I don't like to put anything in my tea. I know some people like to do sugar or creamer or things like that. I like to drink it as is. It's actually got a pretty pleasant taste. Anyway, okay, so sugar is something I get asked quite a bit about. And I think the reason being is that there's a lot of confusion around it, how to get it out of your life, what's really sugar, what's not sugar, what can you have, what can't you have, what's the hidden sugar, what's the added sugar. So there seems to be a lot of information surrounding sugar, so I'm going to try to get to as much of it as I can. I'm already out of breath, and I don't know why. I do know why, but it has everything to do with, I know that there's people staring at me, and I can't see them, and they're judging me. Anywho. Okay, so I did a blog on sugar. Wow, this is probably a year and a half ago. That's also up on my blog. And it talks about the mechanism behind sugar. So basically, when we eat sugar, so when we take it in, when we have that cinnamon roll, or we have the, sorry, I don't know, I was getting a phone call. So if we have anything like that, what's happening is it's activating the feel-good receptors in our brain. So they're called dopamine receptors. So anytime we have sugar, it activates the dopamine receptors and tells us, wow, that felt really good. It's the same exact receptors that alcohol activates and heroin activates. So although sugar hasn't actually been classified as an addictive substance, I think it's probably an addictive substance, because once you have it, your body says, that was pretty nice. I think I'd like a little bit more of that. And so then we want more, and we want more. And we notice that when we're having a crummy day, sugar's there, and it's our best friend, and it helps pick us up because it attaches to the dopamine receptors. When we had a really bad moment at work where our boss really ticked us off, or, you know, a coworker did that, or something to that effect. Sugar is there, again, as a pick-me-up, as a best friend. Maybe we're not talking out our problems with them, but they're making us feel good at that time. So that's kind of what sugar does in the body. Every time you eat it, it says, that felt amazing, I'm going to have a little more of that. And it's important to know that sugar has found its claws in just about everything out on the market today. Sorry, I have to have a voicemail on my phone, and the little banner was distracting because it's a squirrel and I have to stare at it. So sugar's literally in just about everything. And here's kind of the background why. In the 50s, 60s time frame, this massive study came out that basically said fat is the enemy, sugar is okay. Lo and behold, I think a year or so ago, it came out that that study was actually funded by the sugar industry. So this was well before funding for studies had to be disclosed on studies. So for instance, I happened to be reading one the other day about environmental aspects pertaining to meat, and it was basically saying how meat isn't bad for the environment and yada yada yada, and it was funded by the Beef Makers Association of America. So that was one that I quickly dismissed. I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to studies if they are funded by the people that is going to make money off of the outcome of that study. So anyway, 50s, 60s time frame, huge study says sugar's great because it's zero fat, and fat is the enemy. So that's kind of what kicked off the whole low fat, no fat craze. You know, jelly beans are okay, sugar's okay because there's no fat in those. But what kind of came around, what everybody started noticing, is that sugar's pretty inflammatory in the body. Causes digestive upset, leads to type 2 diabetes, can really ramp up your cholesterol and your high blood pressure. And it leads to obesity over time. Now, there are people out there that are genetic freaks of nature and can eat whatever they want and never gain any weight. But for most people, sugar does cause weight gain or obesity. So you can find pretty much sugar in just about anything. Sorry, the dog's making a lot of noise. She's walking around in here. You can find sugar in ketchup. You can find sugar in pasta sauce, in salsa. You can find sugar in like wheat or corn tortillas. Sugar is in bread. I am a huge proponent of reading labels because sugar is in literally just about everything. And when I say the word sugar, I'm not talking about naturally occurring sugar in like fruit or those types of things. I'm talking about added sugar. So sugar that is added to foods to make it tasty and wonderful and activates the dopamine receptors. And so, sorry, when I talk to people, my mouth gets cotton mouth. So I have seen products have as much as 4 to 6 different types of sugars in that product. So when you're reading the label, it's nice to read, you know, how many grams of protein is in it and how many calories is in it and how many servings. That's all well and good, and I am a huge proponent of reading those. I think that's important information. But to me, I really enjoy the ingredients spot. So reading the ingredients is where you really find out what's in the product. So I have seen foods that will have, you know, sugar listed, and then a couple ingredients down they'll have brown rice syrup listed, which is also a sugar. And then maybe a couple ingredients down they'll have molasses listed, and then sucrose and sucralose, and, you know, all these different types of sugars. Anything that ends in an OSC is typically a sugar. And so getting into the habit of reading labels, the ingredients of the food, is really important. I think a lot of people are surprised that maybe their go-to pasta sauce, if you read it the next time that you're in the supermarket, you might find that it actually has sugar in it. Or maybe your favorite loaf of bread, read the back of it, it might actually have sugar in it. Maybe actually have more than one sugar. Peanut butter is a big thing. I think peanut butter alone is amazing, but they add sugar to it, like your premium brands like Jiffy and Skippy. They will have sugar in it. So it's really important to read your labels to find out if it has sugar and how much sugar it has in it. So this is really interesting too. So the nutrition labels are changing. Current labels, I don't have one handy. Current labels will say, and it's up on the blog, I have a side-by-side picture of current labels and forthcoming labels. The current label will just say how much sugar is in a food. It won't tell you if it's naturally occurring sugar, it won't tell you if it's added sugar, because if you have a product that has fruit in it, it very well could be naturally occurring sugar. But you don't know that because it doesn't really discern the difference for you. But the new labels, and I have seen a couple of them, they were supposed to all be mandated to the new label this year, but they've pushed it back, I think, to 2021 for the larger corporations. But any of the smaller corporations has to have the new label on all of their products by the end of this year. And it actually breaks down. It'll tell you total sugars, and then underneath it'll tell you included X number of grams of added sugar. So you will know if a product has, let's say, 10 grams of sugar in it, and if you look and then it's got 9 grams of added sugar, that's probably not something that you want to eat because they added a bunch of sugar to it. You really want to cap out added sugars at about 20 grams a day. FDA will tell you higher. I've heard as high as 50 grams a day. 20 grams a day is really all the added sugar that you want to have in. So look for the new label. It's pretty good, pretty interesting. Until that is on all the products, get used to reading the ingredients because you'll be surprised where sugar is hiding. And like I said, not just one sugar, you'll have multiple sugars in there. Okay, so let me drink my tea here. Stopping the consumption of sugar is super important, not only to reducing inflammation in the body, but probably the #1 concern of most of my clients, which is weight loss. Sugar, even though it doesn't have any fat in it, because it causes inflammation, it can lead to weight gain and eventually obesity. So reducing your sugar consumption is super duper duper important. Added sugars is the first place that you want to start. And then once you get to added sugars and you're completely out of added sugar, except maybe, 1 or 2 grams here or there a day, which is perfectly fine as long as you're under the 20 mark. And then looking at fruits as well. While fruit is perfectly healthy, if we're eating 5 to 6 servings of fruit a day and we have 0 vegetables in our diet, that's a little bit opposite of where we want to be. 2 to 3 servings of fruit a day, 7 to 9 servings of vegetables, fill the rest with whole grains and some protein in there. Okay, so there's 2 methods, of cutting out sugar. I call it the Bandaid method and the step-down method. The Bandaid method is exactly like it sounds. You're basically just ripping off the Bandaid and you go from 60 to 0 overnight. So the previous day you might have had all the sugar that you wanted, or maybe you were trying to moderate your sugar, but you knew that there were some locations in your food that you could cut sugar out. And so you decide, okay, first thing in the morning, no more sugar for me. And so when you do that, which is perfectly fine, everybody's personalities are different. So I'm an all or nothing kind of girl. I want it right now. So I have decided, at 11 o'clock at night, I'm going to do something the next day, and I do it. Step down doesn't work for me because I want things to go like that. But step down works for a lot of people. It really depends on your personality. So the overnight method, like I said, is the Band-Aid method, is you basically just rip it off, remove all the added sugar as much as you possibly can from your diet. When you do that, you may experience some pretty significant withdrawal symptoms. So it's almost like if you're an avid coffee drinker and you didn't have your coffee that morning, you might have some irritability, headache, things like that throughout the day. You will notice the same things if you do the Band-Aid method with sugar withdrawals. So some withdrawals, common ones, are headache, crankiness, feeling jittery, maybe feeling a little flush or feverish, maybe like a little stuffy in here, feeling like you're warm when everybody's not warm. Increased cravings for sugar. So the moment that you take them out, your dopamine receptors are going to say, hey, where's that thing that you used to give me all the time that I love so much? Like, why are you not giving that to me? So you are going to experience those increased cravings. And then fatigue. So this is also a really big one. Most people will immediately feel the impact of removing sugar by fatigue. So it'll happen usually not the first day, second day perhaps, third day definitely. You're gonna feel like you got hit by a truck. You're so tired, you can't function, you can't think, you just don't want to do anything. And so some people end up giving in and they go back to sugar. But if you fight through it, usually around the fourth day, you're going to come right out of it and you're going to feel amazing. So again, sugar withdrawal symptoms are feeling feverish, maybe a little stuffy, headache, feeling jittery, feeling really agitated at everybody, definitely increased cravings, and then fatigue. They will hit usually around day 2. They'll peak at day 3, 4. After that, you're smooth sailing. So the other method is the step down method. And so this one works for most people. And I give a really good example in my blog that I'm going to go through here. So let's say that you stop at Starbucks every morning. Like, that's your thing. You have to do it. You have to go to Starbucks every day. But you know that you really want to drop the added sugar. You're just not really sure how. It's got such a strong hold on you. You've relied on sugar to give you that happiness, albeit maybe you didn't know, for a large portion of your life. And so let's say that your go-to drink is a tall. Now, mind you, a tall is the smallest they have. I think they have a short now, but you got the tall, grande, and what's the venti? I think that's the other one. So you get a tall caramel macchiato. That's your go-to drink Monday through Friday. It gives you complete happiness to pull into Starbucks in the morning and grab that. That little sucker has 25 grams of sugar in it. 25 grams of sugar. Now, mind you, I said we want to kind of keep that under 20. A tall caramel macchiato has 25 grams of sugar in it. So, you've decided you're going to start stepping this down, right? So this is what we're going to do. Is you make the decision, okay, I need to reduce my sugar. What can I do? I'm really not willing to give up my Starbucks trip. It makes me happy. It makes my drive easy, and it sets the mood for the day at work. If I don't have it, I'm going to rip somebody's head off. Totally understand that. So what you do is you decide to change the type of milk in it. So now you've gone to using almond milk instead of cow's milk. So almond milk has taken the sugar content from 25 grams down to 17 grams. So you've taken that, what's 9 grams, I think that's 9 grams of sugar out, 8 grams. I'm not good at math. I can't do mental math subtraction. I just showed you all that. So 8 grams of sugar out of it just simply by changing from cow's milk to almond milk, the unsweetened almond milk that they use. So 25 grams to 17 grams. Now you've gotten that. You're at that for like a week or so, and you're like, this isn't that bad. Okay, I think I'm ready for the next phase. So the next phase, you're looking around the website, you're trying to figure out what has lower sugar, and you find that a regular old tall cappuccino only has 5 grams of sugar. Now, made with almond milk, only has 5 grams of sugar. And so you think, you know what? I think I'm going to try this. So then you start rotating every other day, or maybe you mix half and half or something like that until you're all the way down to only having the tall cappuccino Monday through Friday on your drive to work. You still get the happiness of stopping into Starbucks. You still get to set your mood right for the day. You still get the coffee buzz first thing in the morning, sitting in traffic, drinking the Starbucks. You get all of that comes with it, but you're 20 grams of sugar lighter. And so that's a super easy way to start stepping down the amount of sugar that you have in your life. You can do this by, anything. So if you know that after lunch you have 4 Hershey Kisses. So these 4 Hershey Kisses are your lifeline to making you feel good and getting you through that afternoon slump. But you know that you need to cut out sugar somewhere. So you can look at the 4 Hershey Kisses and think, okay, can I cut this back to 2? Or what if I switch it to dark chocolate instead, which has a lower sugar, but I also get the antioxidant properties from that dark chocolate. And so what you do is over time, you're switching out the milk chocolate Hershey Kisses for the dark chocolate, or you're cutting the number of them back that you're having. The important message is that sugar activates the dopamine receptor, which is the exact same receptor that heroin activates. And then, now I'm thinking about hormones. So, well, it's better than thinking about heroin, I guess. So sugar activates the dopamine receptors, which is the exact same receptors that heroin activates. It can be addicting to a lot of people. Some people could do without it, no problem. They can give it up and be like, oh, that wasn't that hard. But for most people, it will be a difficult thing to do. You've got two methods to limit the sugar in your life. And now, mind you, we're talking about added sugar. So sugar that's going to be in like cookies, cakes. I cannot talk tonight. Cookies, cakes, candies, sweeteners, pasta sauces, salsa, peanut butter, bread, tortilla wraps, you name it. All of them have sugar in it, plus tons of products that I didn't mention. So get used to reading your labels in the supermarket until you find brands that have little to no sugar in it. And then keeping your added sugar down to 20 grams a day or less. The lower, the better. Once you've got that figured out, then you can work on the fruit aspect, especially if you're eating large amounts of fruit every day. We can whittle that down and increase the vegetable intake. And I guarantee you're going to notice that you feel great, you're sleeping better, and you're starting to lose a little bit of weight. So that's what I have to say about chocolate. Sugar. Sugar. I just had a piece of dark chocolate. Maybe that's why I'm thinking about chocolate. And I've also not had sugar, aside from the little bit that's in dark chocolate, for like, what, 2 weeks now? No fruit, no nothing. So maybe my dopamine receptors are freaking out on me. That's why I can't talk. Okay, so let's look at some questions, if I can find them. So, fun fact, I am drinking St. John's wort for anxiety. You shouldn't use St. John's wort if you have, if you're on any type of anti-anxiety medications, because it will interact, but that's what I'm doing this. Okay, so I have this, there's only 4 questions, right? 4 comments? Yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't missing anything, because that's possible that I could do. So, yes, Monica, 25 grams of added sugar. Well, that is it. So take a good look at the foods that you're eating, especially reading the ingredients, and I guarantee you're going to be surprised at where sugar is hiding in your food that you're eating. Yes, 25 grams of sugar in a tall caramel macchiato. That's a lot of sugar. It's a lot of sugar. And what's surprising is there was that unicorn frappuccino thingy that came out last summer. Do you know that had 48 grams of sugar? But it had as much sugar as 4 Krispy Kreme donuts. So you could have a unicorn frappuccino, or you could have the 4 Krispy Kreme donuts. Same amount of sugar. It's ridiculous the amount of sugar that they add to these things. And this is why you see the lines lining up. It's not just the caffeine, it's all the tasty sugar. We want those dopamine receptors activated so that we're setting the right tone for the day, which is, I need to feel great before I go deal with the world. And I can totally understand that. Yes, like Mountain Dew. No, he should not do the Dew. Mountain Dew is horrendous. And I used to be a huge Mountain Dew addict. It's been a while. I think I Mountain Dewed myself out. I used to drink probably 3 to 4 Mountain Dews every day for the entire 8th grade. But yes, Mountain Dew is super duper sugary. So I'm not anti-Starbucks by any means. I go and I have a treat every now and again. The whole point is to know what you're consuming, know what you're putting in your body, and getting used to reading the ingredients and the labels. And so, well, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. So sugar was the topic for tonight. I don't have this ready, but hold 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, and I will tell you exactly what the topic is for next week. I think it's antibiotics and probiotics. I think. I could be wrong, though. Let us see as this pops up. Yes, so our topic next week is antibiotics and probiotics. It's the effect that antibiotics has on the body and how that impacts gut flora and what we need to do to restore gut flora after we take antibiotics. Oh, since I have it up, I'll tell you some upcoming topics. The week after, we're going to talk about Alzheimer's, dementia, and cholesterol, how those three kind of intermix together. And then towards the end of the month, we'll be talking about fatigue and what's the most recent one? Turmeric, ginger, and inflammation. So that will round out all of April. So we've got antibiotics, probiotics. We've got Alzheimer's, dementia, and cholesterol and how they kind of mix together, what you need to know. And then we've got fatigue, which is a huge hot topic for everybody. At some point, everybody has suffered from fatigue. And then the last Monday of the month, we've got turmeric, ginger, and inflammation. So just as a reminder, blogs come out on Monday, Facebook Lives are Tuesday at 7, and then on Wednesday, if you're not on my email list, you can get on that through my website, and you'll get an email with a link back to the Facebook Live, which I uploaded to YouTube, a link to the blog, and then a little tip or trick. I think last week I sent out a mindful eating one. We'll see what I send out this week. If you're watching the replay, you can go ahead and leave any questions, comments, or concerns, and I'll be happy to get back to those. You guys have a fabulous Tuesday evening, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.